Darkness had begun to settle over the dense wilderness, painting the sky in hues of burnt orange and deep purple. The jungle, alive with whispers of the wind and rustling leaves, seemed to breathe as if it held secrets within its ancient roots. A group of hunters, hardened men with years of experience tracking prey, moved cautiously through the undergrowth. Their boots crunched against fallen leaves as they inspected their traps, metal snares and wooden cages placed strategically to capture the beasts of the forest. But as the evening wore on, frustration began to creep into their expressions. Nothing, not a single catch. The jungle had been unusually silent today, as if it sensed their presence and warned its inhabitants. Then someone called out, "Over here!" It was Jonas, the eldest among them, a man whose face bore the scars of past encounters with the wild. The others hurried toward him, pushing aside thick branches, and there, in the dimming light, they saw it. A bear, a massive golden-brown creature caught in one of their iron traps. Its powerful leg was clamped between the cruel metal, its body trembling with pain and exhaustion. But it wasn't the beast alone that stole their breath. Two small cubs sat beside her, their round eyes glistening with fear and sadness. The hunters, Aaron, Elias, Marco, and Jonah, stood frozen. These were not the wide-eyed stares of dumb animals. No, these eyes held something deeper, something human. The cubs did not run, did not snarl or bare their teeth. Instead, they simply sat there, their tiny bodies pressed against their wounded mother. For the first time in years, these men, hunters who had seen blood spill on countless occasions, felt something stir inside them. A battle of instincts, hunt or show mercy. Jonas knelt, his fingers brushing over the cold metal of the trap. The mother bear, though in pain, did not lash out. She simply watched him, her heavy breaths forming small clouds in the evening chill. The silence was thick. Then, after what felt like an eternity, Jonas exhaled and whispered, "Let her go." A long silence stretched between the men. The jungle around them stood still, as if waiting for their decision. The only sounds were the rhythmic breathing of the trapped bear and the soft, almost inaudible whimpers of her cubs. Jonas' words hung in the air, uncertain and fragile. "Let her go." The other hunters exchanged glances, their faces shadowed by the fading sunlight. Aaron, the youngest of the group, furrowed his brows. "Are you serious?" he muttered, his voice a mixture of disbelief and hesitation. Jonas didn't answer immediately. Instead, he reached into his leather pouch and pulled out a small hunting knife. He crouched next to the bear, close enough to hear the low, labored growl rumbling in her throat. She was afraid, but she wasn't attacking. The cubs pressed themselves even closer to their mother, their tiny bodies shivering despite the humid jungle air. They had no understanding of metal traps or human hunters, only that their mother was hurt. Jonas placed his palm against the cold iron and exhaled deeply. "We came here to hunt," Marco reminded him, shifting uncomfortably. His hand hovered near the rifle slung over his shoulder. A seasoned hunter, he knew the rule. Mercy had no place in the wild. "We came here to kill," Jonas corrected. His voice was rough but steady. He turned his gaze to Marco, then to the others. "But I didn't come here to kill something looking me in the eye like that." The words struck deep. Aaron looked at the cubs again. Their dark, round eyes glistened in the dim light, reflecting the flickering flames of their lantern. A mother, her children. Not prey, but a family. Jonas didn't wait for permission. He gripped the edge of the trap and pressed his knife against the rusted hinges. His fingers, calloused from years of hunting, worked swiftly to pry the metal apart. The old iron groaned in protest. The bear flinched. Her muscles tensed. Her claws dug into the earth. For a split second, the hunters braced themselves, expecting her to lash out. But she didn't. Instead, she let out a deep, ragged breath. Her paw, swollen and bleeding, trembled as she slowly pulled it free from the trap's cruel bite. The cubs reacted instantly. They nudged against her side, their small noses brushing over her wound, as if to comfort her. Jonas stood up and stepped back. His hands were shaking. The other hunters said nothing. Even Marco, who had argued against it moments ago, remained silent. Something in the air had changed. The bear lifted her head and locked eyes with Jonas. For a moment, just a fleeting moment, there was an understanding. Then, without a sound, she turned. Limping but determined, she nudged her cubs toward the darkness of the jungle. The men stood there, watching as the shadows swallowed the family whole. When the last rustle of leaves faded into silence, Jonas let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. Aaron was the first to speak. His voice was barely above a whisper. "Do you think she'll survive?" Jonas didn't answer right away. His gaze remained fixed on the jungle's edge. "I don't know," he admitted finally, "but I think we did the right thing." No one argued. The hunt was over. But something inside each of them had changed. And as they packed up their gear and made their way back through the trees, the jungle seemed different somehow, as if, for one night at least, it had chosen to show them mercy too.